Battle 5, for those who were here before, will be the 4th of December, so 2 weeks from now, but on the Wednesday. Okay, welcome everybody. Today we talk about venture financing. Venture financing is an interesting hands-on type of topic that we have in innovation and business in ICT. It's about venture. Any of you who knows what's a venture? You can even try to guess. What do you think is a venture? Ever heard about venture capital? Investing in ventures? Anyone who knows? No. Okay.
A kind of startup.
A kind of startup, exactly. A venture is, well, we could see it as an adventure, which is the venture plus AD. So a venture is we could see as a challenge, but mostly is a company. So a venture is a new company, is a startup, and venture, investing in a venture means investing in a startup or investing in a company. So venture financing is the way we consider the traditional ways of investing in a company. Why ventures are important, and why this course and this type of course and INE Basics, which is in next door, why is it relevant? Why do you think the European Commission decided to create a project like IAT Digital? The colleagues of yours in the next room are studying in IAT Digital. They are doing a master course on IAT Digital. And why do you think the reasoning and the discussion and the hype of startup is so much important nowadays and is even increasing in the debate? You should answer to this question. So, is there a direct or indirect relation between the welfare of a country and the companies who are placed in that country? Who of you think that there is a direct relation? Raise your hands. A few. Can you repeat? Is there a direct relation between country welfare or companies and companies growth? Raise your hand. Okay, down hands. Who think there is an indirect relation between country welfare and companies growth? Raise hands. You raised in both.
It's not exclusive.
It's not exclusive, but in general. Why do you think there is an indirect relation? An indirect one.
Because they're paying direct. They're paying like people that they're consuming.
Okay.
They're making. They're spending money in that country. Right?
Okay.
And in their relation to taxes.
Okay. Fine. Please.
The indirect relation is like if they grow enough that can invest on the other countries, so they can bring money to that country.
Okay.
So basically, they can increase the welfare of the country by adding money to the
Local money. Okay. You also say that there is an indirect relation.
Yes, because normally the country, some company, it's not so direct because depends both on the the company policies, but also on the country welfare policies.
Okay.
Because there is a tax reduction, so as example, some country give a very low level of tax, but at the point they don't guarantee the welfare, and sometimes the company try to and so this is guaranteed for the company, especially in the case where the company is labor intensive.
Okay.
But it's not so direct because it's a match between these two
Okay.
things.
So let's say that in general there can be ways where a particular country has special taxation schemes, or there can be use cases where, for example, a lot of foreign workers, they move to another country and they, for example, bring a lot of their wealth back to their origin country because they have relations there. So they work in a country, but part of their wage then at the end go back to another country. But in general, rule of the thumb is that all countries are trying to have new startups in their own territory, because in general when the legal premises of that company is in a country, the taxes are paid in that country, and so the more you have companies in that country that are able to create revenues, to generate revenues, the better it is for the country in general. So in general, most of you answered correctly. In general, apart from some slight changes of the rules that can happen, as we said, but in general, the relation is direct. So the European Commission, when they decided to create IIT Digital, they did so, and all the other knowledge innovation communities, there are other fields of application where IIT is applicable: climate change, energy, mobility recently, industry 4.0, food. There are a few of them, raw materials, and you can have usually you can have some scholarship from them if you have a good idea, a business idea related to these fields. So what they try to do is to improve the economy of Europe. Why? Because they have seen that recently most of the big company and the new ventures, as we call them now, are not based in Europe, but they are based or in US or in China. So that's the reason why the European Commission, together with Italy, Germany, France, also France, they are spending a lot of money to have startups in France. London, they have some issues now with the Brexit, but they have one of the most interesting law favoring startup moving to London and establishing the company there. Berlin is doing the same. Vienna, Madrid, all of the countries of Europe are trying to set up a policy where they favor the creation of new companies, and they hope at a certain point that these small companies, they start as small companies, we will see later, but at a certain point they become very, very big. So if we think, well, we will see now. So that's the basic why there is this type of course at the University of Trento and related to these students, because the Italian government, Prime Minister Conte, is willing that you, in 10 years, will have a very strong company here in Trento, maybe based here in Trento, that will be as big as Spotify. I don't know what, whatever you like. So that's why you're here, and that's why you're making this lesson related to innovation entrepreneurship. Corporations. What we said before, what I just said. So, what are the arrows? What does the arrows? Well, this is from 2014, so it's a lesson that I'm doing for quite a few years. But what are the arrows? Now maybe this changed a bit, but still we are in that area. So what are the arrows representing? European-based company. Siemens, Germany; Deutsche Telekom, Germany; Telefonica, Spain; Vodafone, England. So if you take the Fortune Global 500 5 years ago. It could be now reshaped. There is some novelties for sure. Still Siemens is there, Deutsche Telekom for sure is there. I don't know how about Telefonica, surely Vodafone is there. But this is the biggest ICT companies in the world. We are missing a few. For example, there is Apple, but here there is Amazon now. We will see later here there is Amazon now, there is Google now. But these in 2014 were the list of the first 20. And only 4 are European. So the European Commission is scared from this data. Mostly are US. Onai is the producer of the iPhone. It's a huge company which is half Chinese, half Korean, and they have a factory where 1 million people is working, and they are producing the iPhone. The iPhone comes out from their factory. Nippon, well, this is the Japan communication system. Nippon, Hitachi, Sony, Panasonic. Now I think that these people are a bit loud. Microsoft, Amazon. Amazon was 112, I think now is on top. Okay, let's see another interesting. Okay, this is very difficult to read, I agree. When you will have the slide, you will see them better. But this is the Fortune Global in 2012, 13, 14, and the arrows are relevant to see. Okay. 22 is Hewlett-Packard here. So the first is Hewlett-Packard. It was 23, more or less, and 20-something. Hewlett-Packard in 1 year ago was 40, and it became 50 after 3 years. Hewlett-Packard, HP, Compaq, part of HP. So they bought a lot of stuff. But hardware, they went a bit down. Apple, it was 50. Well, Apple was not as strong as it is now. It was like some 50, it went to some 10, 20, and some even higher point. So Apple went up. Now Apple is almost at the top. This is Microsoft Corporation. This is strange to say. Microsoft has some sort of, it's stable, but it has up and downs. So sometimes it goes up, a good product comes out, sometimes it goes down, but it never goes too down. Because Microsoft is able at a certain point to launch a new good operating system, not Windows 8 for example, but some others works. And so when they works, the company start improving. And so as you see, Microsoft stays between 100 and 150 more or less, stays stable. Interesting to see. This is the blue one, Amazon. I skipped the red. No, sorry. That was. The yellow was Microsoft, yes. The red I skip. I will tell you about the red later. The blue is Amazon. Yes, it's Amazon. Some 230, 148. 110. Now Amazon is in the top 10. Okay? Evolution of Amazon. Google, 277, 188, 150. Now also Google is in the top 15. Okay? Can you read what is the 174?
No.
Guess?
Something
Well,
corporation. Something corporation.
Something corporation. Well,
Nokia.
who said? Nokia. Very good. I don't know how you read, but because I was not able to myself. No, I can read it here, but not there. But it was a good guess. I think you could have guessed. Good Catherine, you guessed. So it was 174, 2012. Nokia, you remember? Well, maybe you were young, but having a Nokia when the mobile phone were at the beginning was wow. I have the best of breed. And no one could have ever imagined the Nokia had the story it had. Nokia Finland. The best mobile phone manufacturer till those years. Then they made the wrong choice which was they didn't follow the innovation trends and they lost. So it was 174, 276, 282, no, maybe more, no, 392, and now in the middle of nowhere. I think that they are trying to rebrand it with some Chinese support. So they bought the brand and they are trying to relaunch it with alternate success. Still, the value of Nokia in sense of brand is quite high. I mean, it was perceived quite high at the beginning. So another view similar to that, this is taken from Intesa San Paolo, a slide that I took from some colleagues at Intesa San Paolo. 2001, 6, 11, 16, 17. So the blue one are the tech companies. This is a sort of turnover. Biggest in 2001 was, what is this? General Electric. General Electric, Microsoft was quite good. ExxonMobil, so oil and gas. Walmart, pretty big. Citibank, that's a bank, a US-based bank. 2006, ExxonMobil jumps up, maybe rise of crude oil. So with oil and gas, you have always some jumps. ExxonMobil, General Electric second, Microsoft third, Citi, Gazprom also oil and gas, but Russian-based. 2011, still ExxonMobil. It appears out Apple. If you remember, Apple in the last slide before was 2012 was quite high and it went up. Away. Power China. Power China, no, should be something else. Is a traditional company, so most probably this is oil and gas in China. Shell, oil and gas. IBICT, I think that's a bank, and I'm not sure. 5-year jump. So the blue, as you see, are the tech company. 2016 revenues, Apple, Google, Microsoft. Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway are a bank, a financial institutions. ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is oil and gas is slowly going down. 2017, 5 out of 5 highest revenues, all tech companies. So you see the evolution. Why the European Commission policymakers believe you are so important. Here you see the reason. Okay? And this is going to evolve. This is going to evolve because it will stay. Maybe there will be some jumps up and down, but maybe China will come sooner or later inside there, but they have a more particular approach. Okay, so these are corporates. So we are talking about big companies. Well, these were startup. These were startup. Well, these 20 years ago, 25. 30 years ago, 25 were startups. Now they are corporations in less than 20 years. If we look at startups, well, those were startups, of course, but if we look at startups, take a look and tell me if you see any European one. Spotify is the unique European company inside this chart. This is these companies are not in the stock exchange, so they are not corporations, these are still startups. It means that some venture capital invested in them. Maybe the startuppers, the owners, the founders are still in the company, but they didn't go public, so they didn't go into the stock exchange. Because, for example, Google is no more a startup, but before going to stock exchange, it was in this list. So these are the most high-value startups in the world. The unique is the number 17, Spotify. There is Uber, Didi Sing is a Chinese one, Xiaomi, you know, Airbnb, SpaceX, WeWork went down because they had a lot of problems. It's co-working spaces. Palantir is a privacy and security type of company. They do security, IT security. Lufax, Metro, a lot of Pinterest. Some of them are mostly known. DJI was here, drones, Chinese drones. Theranos was a biotech who had some issues. So 2018, find the European one, if you are able to find it. No Europeans. So the year after, there are no Europeans in the first. So Spotify disappeared, went down. So there are no Europeans. So there are no European companies in the top 15 or top 20 of the best startup of the world. Okay, even Spotify went a bit down because there are others who grow faster than grows faster than Spotify. Okay, it's not that Spotify stops, but there are others who increase more in values. Okay, so this introduction is to tell you why it's important why we put effort. For example, here there is Cibio. Cibio is the computer, is the department close to here, is the next building, and they work on biotech companies, on biotech technologies, and they have had a few companies that started making interesting tech transfer activity, and they are trying to breed them into a startup, into a venture. So there are a few researchers from Cibio who recently, two groups of them started two companies here in Trento. One is called Alia Therapeutics. It works on genome editing. The other is called Sibylla Biotech. Is working on drug discovery, so discovery of new drugs which become pills able to give you some more health. And they got a round of a few million euro to grow. So we are starting here to work with some startups that are getting good technological results, and they are getting financing, which now we will see, to grow up, arrive to a final product, and then try to grow even more and become maybe a pharma or maybe do an exit. So there is this effort which province of Trento, Lombardia, Veneto, Emilia-Romagna, all the Italian regions, apart from all countries, but all the regions are trying to put an effort in order to have companies that grow. So companies which is is in any case very good to have a company. If you are an entrepreneur, it's always very challenging, being it a restaurant, a flower shop, or a small factory of mechanic stuff or whatever, or being it a startup. So what the province of Trento, together with all other regions, are doing is trying to have more and more of these, so that there is welfare in the area and jobs for the people who live in that area. So in a bunch, this is when we talk about financing, venture financing, this is the stuff that you really need to memorize, because essentially if any one of you will have a successful startup, in the sense of a startup that scale and reach a high number of employees, this is normally the path that a company does. So this is the normal path. This would be the hopefully good path that a company does from when it starts and is not yet a company to when it becomes very, very big. Okay, what is this line? Is written. What is that line? Cash flow. Don't be shy. What is that? Incomes. Resources, cash flow. So the value of a company. It can be the incomes. It can be the incomes minus the cost, which is cash flow. So what you receive as money and what goes out as cost becomes the cash flow in terms of actual money. It can be the revenues or resources, so the value of the company. So this is time, very easy also this. And this is, let's say, the value. Value of cash flow, value of resources, value of the company. It goes negative. Why do you think that it goes negative? That's the standard graph for the revenues of a company or the income of a company or the cash flow of a company. Why do you think it goes negative?
Because we are still building that, we are not using that.
Good. Before selling a product, what do you need to do? Produce it. Good. You are very reactive. Some of you are very reactive. Okay. So, before selling a product, you need to do it. If you think about this chair, I always choose chair because they are. If you want to sell this chair, what do you need? This first chair you have. Project. So you have to design it. Do you have the chair when you design it? No. Can you sell it when you design it? No. Okay. So you have to make the project, then buy material. You have to buy the wood, the screws, the metal. Do you get money when you pay this stuff? No. And then what do you have to do? Human resource to build, and someone to sell it. So, before getting money, you always need to use them to create your product. The same is for ICT project or digital project. The advantage of digital project is that, let's say you are talking about an app. Let's make it simple. It's not. We are not talking about a complex product like SAP. SAP is a resource planning program that is sold from a German company. Or you have other type of such big platform. For example, Uber. Also, Uber is a platform. But if you are working on the digital, what is the advantage to creating an app? Do you need strong investment to create an app? I say no. That's correct. Why you don't need a lot of resources?
If you're a developer, you can just start working on it.
Okay,
or
you just need
friends. You just
okay,
start.
but in general you need just a computer.
Yeah.
Okay, to develop an app or an ICT tool or whatever software, you need a computer. Maybe you have already 600, 1,000, I don't know. So with that you can create an app. So ICT and digital has the advantage that they are not capital intensive. They don't need a lot of material, wood, human resources to create it. That's the strong advantage that you have. Because if you would need to build a building, then you need concrete, you need a lot of stuff. So for product as ICT, you don't need such things. But in any case, even if you have your computer and you do an app, why you go negative? Let's say that this is the history of Salesforce. Salesforce is the strongest platform online on cloud for commercial agents. It's an American company which is making huge money. So Salesforce. But why, if you have if you have a computer and you want to develop an app, you go negative?
Marketing.
You need marketing, okay. But what first of all do you need to do?
Advertisement.
Advertisement is marketing. It's the same, okay.
You're investing resources, your time, which you take on.
Your time is a resource. You could go in a bar and work as a barman or do whatever you like. So if you invest your time in coding, each time you think about your idea, you're spending something. You're spending time, which is resources. You're not screwing a chair or mounting it, but you are developing code. But still is human resources. And if you ask to someone else to support you, or is a friend of yours, and then he does free of charge because he likes coding, otherwise you need to pay it. And those are resources. So any kind of company goes negative. That's the bad news, but it's also the good news. Because at a certain point you would need to start selling. Okay, but let's do. Who puts the resources in the first phase? You see it here. It's own resources, family, friends, or public funds. The triple F is called. Family, friends can give you some money if they are willing to support you, or they can give you working hours. And what is the third F? Anyone knows? Who starts the company? How they are called, those who start the company? Founders. So the triple S is family, friends, and founders. So your own money. Maybe you work in a bar during summer, you put away some money, and then you start doing marketing for your app, and then you start selling the app. But it is also called family, friends, and fools. Because the founders usually have to be some sort of fools to start the company. So that's the triple F explanation. Public funds, these are very relevant. If you ever want to start a company on your own, first of all, try to check if there is any Trentino Sviluppo, any promotion agency, any development agency, any ministry, whatever that are in your country or your region that give you free money to develop your own idea. There are a lot of contests, like business idea contests. One famous here in Trentino is D2T, D2T or Start Cup. Two colleagues of yours, but younger than yours, one is from physics department, the other was from the easy, but now he went to economy department, he moved there. They are bachelor students, and they got 30,000 euro to start their idea. And their idea is interesting because they are developing a sort of middleware for IoT technologies. So you use their framework as a baseline, and you develop on top of their framework, and they make the life easier to you to develop your IoT application. Okay? They are software, they are coders, they are very, very strong coders. They are based at Innovazione Trentino now. They are based at Norway. And they got 30,000 euro, which is not that few. It's quite some money to start your own business. So these public funds help founders to find money without diluting, without giving money to others. Then, at a certain point, your app starts selling. When your app starts selling, you start getting some money back because people are buying your app. Maybe you have the app that costs €3, I don't know, in the app store. And so €3, a lot of people like it. A lot of people start using it, and many companies start buying it. If we go to software system like Salesforce, for example. And at this point, when you start selling the first, when you start selling the first app or the first product, it comes out that you could be helped from a business angel. A business angel is usually a physical person, a person like me or like someone who is wealthy. He has some money on his bank account, but he likes, instead of putting them into bot, CCT, so the normal debt forms of banks or other type of financial schemes, for example, post life insurance or whatever, they invest this money into you because they believe in you. And so they give you some money so that you can do more marketing, for example. Or they introduce you to someone that can support you in selling more products. Or someone that can support you in improving the user experience of your application. So with a better UX, usually you learn more stuff. You sell more stuff. So these are the first to intervene. They don't give a lot of money. Then, if you start selling more, because your application is very much appreciated and you see more and more people entering and there is a sort of ramp up of your application, then the venture capital comes. Usually the venture capital is a private firm, is a company. They have big money, they can have big money, not here in Italy, but in general. If you go abroad, and especially in the United States, they have big money. And they are able to give you quite some money, so that, for example, you don't only sell in Italy, but maybe you start selling in Austria, in Germany, in France, in Spain, in UK. So they help you with management capabilities, but also to go abroad, to do the so-called internationalization. So to go to other markets and sell also in other places. After them, you start more and more and more, and then the ramp up goes even higher. You sell, and then at a certain point, private equity funds comes. Private equity funds are those companies that give you money, they enter into the company, and they support you to do strategic change. For example, you have a factory, and these guys support you to double size the factory. So they have special project that needs a lot of money. So they lend you the money, they enter into the capital, and they help you to grow even more. But these guys enters is a form of bank loan. These guys enters only if you are selling a lot. So they are sure that this product is stable, it has its own customers. Only by having a strong improvement, private equity funds enters. This is, for example, the truth, for example, could be for Airbnb. The last rounds of Airbnb are participated from private equity funds, because now Airbnb is no more a risk. Airbnb needs to, or enter into new markets where they are not yet there, or they need to slightly improve the platform, which needs special project to be done. Finally, when you are mature, here you have the seed, startup, these are all stages that a startup usually face. The final is the maturity. So, when you start reaching the peak and your product is lacking a bit of grip, you maybe try to develop a new product, but around that area, when you are like quite stable and your selling are stable and quite good, you can go to the stock exchange. What is IPO or IPO?
Initial public offer.
Initial public offerings. It means that you reach the point. Okay? So, if you get the IPO, that means that you quote your company into the stock exchange, you get the crown. Because it means that you did a very good job. If you yourself are able to follow all this path. Because for each in the IPO, it means that quite a few stakeholders enter into the company, they made some money with you, they invested, they wanted to do the exit, they wanted to get their money, they wanted to get quite some money, they wanted to get considerable money. But when this guy enters, they change the rules in which you run the company. They give you money, but they want power. Okay? So if you're able to reach the IPO and you're still on the seat of your company, congratulations, you did it very good. This is Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg. They did like that. Well, depends then how much power they have and how much power the shareholders have, but still they did a good job. So there is another line which is called risk. What does it tell?
Like when it's a small business, then the risk is less, and when it's a bigger one, the risk minimized.
Okay, that's correct. You had something similar?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. So the more risk you bet, the more money you make.
Okay. So the highest risk is here. Why is here?
Because you didn't start selling yet, so you just have the idea, so you don't know if you're able to be successful or not.
Exactly, perfect. So the first investors usually are you yourself, your family, and your friends, because you convince them that this will be the product of the century. We don't know if this will be the content, but you are able to convince your peers, and they give you money. But you are not yet sure if this will be the product. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you forget to put the microphone, and then nothing works. But what the people does is that the highest is the risk, the more it's you or a few people investing in you, the more the product starts selling and it becomes a successful product, the more you have people who want to enter into your product, into your company, because they see that they can do big money by supporting you. That's why the risk decreases. When you go to the IPO, the risks are less high, because when you reach the IPO, you become a public company. So it means that your company is going very good. Otherwise, it's selling and it has a stability in the cash flow, a stability in the revenues. Otherwise, the stock exchange do not accept you. If you every year you go up and downs a lot, the stock exchange do not accept you. They need strong and robust companies. Okay, some data for you to understand the measure which we were just saying. As you see, you have some stages, and depending on the stages, you have some criteria to follow, or some generic requirements that are followed on the venture investment. So if you start with seed, so when you are starting, this is when you are starting, when you are putting the first seed of your company. You are like doing the idea, or you are maybe fine-tuning the project, and you are doing the MVP. What is MVP?
Minimum viable project.
Minimum viable product. Minimum viable product, which is the first demo style. It's not a mock-up, it's more than a mock-up. It can be a mock-up, but usually it's already a running demo, a landing page. Google at the mock-up of Google, the minimum viable product of Google is still the same in terms of Google search, but on top of that, Google did thousands of other things. But the Google minimum viable product was the search engine page. And feeling lucky, search whatever you want to search. You remember it? Okay. So at the seed stage, you are doing the minimum viable product if you are lucky. It means that you are seeking if the customer like your product. Usually you have structural cost, maybe if you need a small office. Structural cost means cost of structure. Human resources, leasing, whatever. The computer is a structural cost. Intangible assets is the IP, the intellectual property that you are developing. The first demo of your app is intangible. You develop software. You have this. Is intangible in the sense that you put know-how inside that, but maybe it's not yet used. Investment is not big, risk level very high. Usually here you have families, friends and fools, incubator, accelerator, or business angel in seed stage. There are maybe some angels that like a lot your idea, and maybe they enter even before that you start selling. This happens a lot in biotech, CBO, because before having a drug which is tested, validated, certified, and goes into the market is 10 years at least. So if you wait 10 years to sell, it's impossible that you get. So you need, in the biotech there is a different approach. So the investors enters earlier. Startup phase, you go to a first prototype which is working quite good. Service or product launch, you have structural cost, working capital, and you develop both tangible and intangible assets. Tangibles are assets that are investments. investment in something concrete. You buy a new cloud application, for example, a new cloud service. Investment can be high, can be substantial, risk level still high, and here you have accelerator, business angel, or first venture capitalist. So in the first stage, in the startup phase, you have also some venture capitalists that could arise. First stage means that you are selling, but you need to improve this selling. So you have market expansion, and you fine tune, you perfect your application, so to sell even more. Or to, maybe there were some bugs. You didn't tell anyone, but you were sure that there were some bugs. Okay, so here you have to leave the bugs out. Okay, and you have to have a code which is robust. Is this same as working capital, structural cost, tangible. You create, you improve both how you work and what you get out of your work. Investment intent is high usually. Especially, for example, if you need to, you start having the first customer in Trentino, but then you want to move in Veneto, Lombardia, whatever. So you need to have commercial agents, maybe, or marketing cost also in another place. So high, risk level, medium high. Still, well, medium high, but not as high as it was at the beginning, because you are selling. Here you have venture capitalists and banks. Well, banks usually you have it from the beginning, because you need a basic loan to have working capital, so to have a certain amount of money where you need to buy something, for example, the cloud service fee of that year, and once you get paid by selling up, this bank loan is paid back. So you need some capital to let the company work. Okay? So this is in early stage. Something similar is this. But this is taking not only the early stage, but also later stage. So when the company start being big, on this we talked a bit. Maybe the unique, interesting point is that is this part, because this one is we already explained. So usually in seed stage, a business angel goes up to, in Italy, if he is very rich, to 250,000 euro. If you get an investor which has a lot of money, it will give you 100,000 euro. If he's very rich, 200,000 euro. That's mostly the limit of business angels. Business angel is a physical person. You know the owner or the general manager of IBM Italia. I don't know. And this guy, well, he has a big pocket because he's a general manager of IBM Italia. He trusts your idea because you met him at the investor day. He likes you, he likes your idea. I say, okay, me, I have some 100,000 euro I could invest in your idea. That's the range of big business angels. This can be even 10,000 euro or 50,000 euro. Okay, these are not big amounts. Then when you have the product development from business angel, you go also to a venture capitalist. So usually in this case, if you have business angels, it's because they enter into a sindacato, a syndicate of investors. Club degli Investitori in Torino is famous because it's a venture business angel syndication. So there are like 10 people, a physical person who invest together in an idea. Everyone put a chip of 20,000 euro. So 10 people, they give you 200,000 euro. Okay? So they work together. Most of the time, these become venture capitalists. They can give up to 1 million euro. 1 million euro is some money. You can work quite a lot. Then, first stage, when you have to commercialize and expand, money can reach this level, 1 to 3 million euro, venture capitalists and banks together. When you go to bigger volumes or bigger dimension of your startup, it can be 2 to 5 million, 5 to 10 plus million, or more than 10 million. Usually when you see US companies, these numbers are always higher. Okay, the first big investment which is, for example, this. If you are able to receive a million after having received something from a business angel, but the first big investment, which usually is here or here, from a venture capitalist, that is called round A. The first. The second is called round B. Third, round C. The rounds are the investment that you receive when you invest in when you reach more investment from venture capitalists. Okay. Okay. So. Okay, we do this and then we do 5 minutes break. No, we do the break now. Before the break, when we come back from the lessons, I asked the people who are using the PC to close the PC and listen to the lesson. Only the note writer are allowed to keep the PC open. Okay? Thank you. Ever heard about debt capital? Who knows what is that debt capital? Yes?
I'm just guessing.
Yes.
Is the
That's good.
fact that a lot of people owe money to you?
Yeah. Own money and you keep them. You keep them and you run away.
No.
No?
I mean, they owe money to you.
They owe money to you,
Yeah.
and then
Instead of share or something.
instead of share. Okay. We are going closer.
Maybe the opposite way, you owe money to other people.
Okay, well, you can be the lender or the receiver. But what happens between the lender and the receiver? I call it lender.
Then there is an interest.
There is an interest. Okay, we're getting closer. So the money goes
From the lender to the receiver.
at the beginning, and then
You start paying it back after you make some money from your sales.
exactly. So debt capital is money you receive, but you have to give back, plus interest. So debt capital is a temporary form of funding. This is a micro concept of economy, finance and economy. So it's a temporary form of funding which is provided through a contractual basis. I give you 10 euro, but before giving you 10 euro, I make you sign that I'm giving you 10 euro. Tomorrow you give me 11 euro. But this is a bit exaggerated, but that's the contractual basis. It foresees a debt remuneration. I give you 50,000 euro, and in 1 year you have to give me back 50,000 euro plus an interest. Okay? So the interest is 5%. It means that at the end of the year, this 50,000 euro has produced how much? 2,500, exactly. So you will give back 50,000 euro plus 2,500, which is 52,000 euro 500. Okay? It's the credit provider do not have any operational power into your company. This is usually done if you want to buy a house, whatever, but let's call about companies. So it gives you the money. It can be that maybe it asks you the interest on a monthly basis, while the capital is given back after 1 year. So the 2,500 euro doesn't go at the end, but maybe goes back into monthly amounts. But the way you spend that 50,000 and give them back is your business. It's not going to come into your company and tells you how to spend the 50,000. Most of the time, the lending is being given on a basis of a project. You go to a bank, you say, I have this nice building, and I have the officina meccanica, the mechanical factory, I mean the mechanical garage. And on top of that, I want to add an extra space to clean the cars. So I will add another person that works with me at the end of my service, clean also the car. So this small project is about building the extra garage where there is the stuff to clean the car. Okay? You have to give me 50,000 euro. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. I get this 50,000 euro. I build this stuff. Maybe they're not enough, but okay. Let's imagine that it's enough. And I will start cleaning all the cars that I repair. And after 1 year, maybe I will have enough money to pay back the 50,000. This is something that you pay back in more years. Usually this type of investment you pay back in 2 to 5 years. But let's imagine that it's done in 1 year. This bank doesn't come to your garage to tell you, I don't like this pink. Why you made it pink? That's my business. Because I like it. Okay? So they are not going to intervene in your company like that. What is risk capital? Any idea?
It's, I am not sure, but
We can try.
normally they are investors that they give you money, but they request back some action of the company. So a part, and normally because they have a part of the company value. They became a shareholder at this point. They obviously have also the risk that something on the company go wrong.
Exactly. I would say that this is a good sum of the risk capital. Is a stable form of funding. So you allow someone to enter into your company and become a partner of yours. A partner not in the sense that he provides you wood or whatever. It becomes a co-owner of your company. And being so, he has the right to participate and have an active role in the enterprise governance. He decides with you what to do. Okay? Because he is the owner. I don't want it pink. Okay, let's discuss. Let's have it red. No? Yellow. Okay, yellow. So it decides with you what the company should do. It does not foresee a contractual remuneration. It's not that it gives you 50,000 euro and after 1 year you give him back. He becomes a co-owner because he wants to work with you and make that 50,000 euro 500,000 euro in 5 years. Because he's convinced that your idea will develop a lot, will sell a lot, will go not only in Italy but will go also in UK, Slovenia and whatever. It will sell a lot, and so in 5 to 8 to 10 years he will become rich with you. That's the role of a risk capital. The concept of private equity is the sum of this. Private equity means equity which is private. Okay, so a private capital that co-invest in your venture. Inside the private equity, you have the angel investors or business angel. They have the same name. They are here. You have the venture capitals. Now we will see, and you have corporate investors, companies that invest in startup. In the large sense, private equity financing. Private equity, usually you name a private equity company, those financial institution who makes big investments in companies. It was the last stage of the graph I show you. So usually private equity is only used for a large amount of funding for special project that large company has. I would not anticipate too much, but okay. Usually business angels are private investors, physical person, most of the time are physical person. Usually they have strong business network, they have management capability because they could support you on that. They should have, not all the people have, but they should have, a long-standing experience in a certain domain. For example, the director of IBM Italy, for sure, should be skilled on technologies such as cloud, such as ICT, such as maybe not software coding, but for sure platforms, software platforms, because otherwise he would not be the director of IBM Italy. They are not going to hire him if he doesn't have any such skills. So usually investors are people who are retired from executive position in big companies. They have some money in their pocket and they decide to support startuppers because they want to make some money, of course. They want to support you, but also they want to invest 50,000 euro and then get back with 500,000 euro, which is 10 times what they invested. Objective, support the economic growth of an enterprise. Venture capitalists usually are financial operators. They are companies. It's not a venture capitalist is not a physical person. Is a legal person. Usually is not physical. Most of it, 99% of the time, is a legal person. Is a company, because investing as a venture capital means having a lot of money. Maybe they can be physical in the sense that some big rich families, they have a sort of family-owned company, which is the treasury of the family. Agnelli in Italy, they have such a company. And they use that as a mean to invest in companies. So they have a vehicle, it's called a vehicle, which is a company through which they put every year they get a lot of revenues from Fiat Chrysler automobiles. So what they get after the taxes, whatever, what is their remuneration goes into this treasury company, and this treasury company is the vehicle through which they invest in companies. Rich families usually use such an approach. So the physical person is usually represented from a legal person. They invest in risk capital of startup, but they can also choose SMEs, because they want to have companies who have good opportunities to grow. It's not always a startup, it can be even an SME which is going good. For example, there are a lot of SMEs recently who work on the motori elettrici, on electrical engines. They got a lot of attention because in the world is moving towards electrical mobility. And so all of these companies that were SMEs, they have been purchased from larger corporations, because all larger corporations want to have the IP on electric engines. Private equity funds are special operators who work on this, but with large amounts. Usually, what they do, venture capitalists and private equity funds, is that they collect money from banks, hedge funds, pension operators, IMPs, such kind of. So they get money from several sources, even small businesses, small offices, or rich people, wealthy people. They create a fund, and this fund then is invested into several startups. They use their own money, but also external money of people who trust that venture capital. The objective is to promote market and dimensional economic growth of the company. So usually they go to someone who already is selling something, and they let this guy or this company or this startup to sell even more. In the long term, they would like to have the company listing, because if you go into the IPO, into the initial public offering, then it means that your company grow a lot. So, some more details of business angels, which I already said. What is important, what I tell you, is that they give expertise. They allocate usually a fraction of their financial capability. If this IBM director has, let's say, 2 million euro in the bank account, he's not going to give you 2 million euro. Usually it gives 50,000 euro to 10 of you. And so invest a part of his total wealth. Otherwise, this is called diversification. Because he wants to have more possibilities to then find one that is able to be a good startup. The diversification of the risk. Usually they know the technological domain. Why do you think a business angel is willing to know the technology, is knowing the technological domain? Why do you think a business angel, the IBM director, should invest in something which is IT related?
He has knowledge in that direction.
He has knowledge in that direction. So you can go to this guy and tell, look, this is my business plan, this is my technology, this is the idea I have, and it's on how to better grow that tree. The IBM director doesn't know anything about that tree and how to stimulate the growth of that tree. Okay? So usually he chooses a domain where he knows because he is able to understand if your idea is good and if your business plan is sound. Okay? Otherwise, say, okay, this is for me is Stella di Rosetta. I don't know what is written. And okay, so usually the expertise is because they go into something where they know, oh, I've seen the trends of cloud, and this is something that could work. I put some money here. Okay? Investment 50,000 euro to 250. Typical standard return is at least 20% per year. If they give you 50,000 euro, they expect that every year you sort of generate at least 10,000 euro. So if they sell in 5 years, they are going to double their investment. They expect that they give you 50 today, and in 5 years they get back at least 100. This is the expect they have. That's why they do not behave as a bank. Because as a bank, with 5% interest, no risk lending, they would get in 5 years 25% in 5 years. 5 years, 5% each year means that after 5 years they get 25%. But it's less risky. The debt capital. Risk capital is a high risk, we will see now, but they want to have a high return. That's why they invest in it. Otherwise they would go for BOC, CCT, so those type of the country type of debt that gives you 3 to 5% or 2%. That is no risk. Let's say it's no risk almost, but you're sure that you will get that money back. Well, usually they do it because they like it. So if you are able to stimulate their brain, and so they will give you more happily that money. Because if they see something new, they see that you like what you do, that you have a lot of enthusiasm, usually they follow you. It's because they sort of go back to their 20s or their 30s when they were like not yet the IBM director, so they are sort of trying to allow you to have also a good path to grow a lot and to have a successful venture. That's usually why they do, apart from the money. Okay, money is important to them. Venture capitalist. The estimation of the estimation of the percentage that you give to a company, that is always very tricky. In Italy, a business angel gives you 50,000 euro, which is not a lot, and they ask you 30% or 40%. This is typical. Don't accept it. At least you are going to die. If you are going to die, you need money, and then you accept whatever. But if you are not going to die, you should give the lowest percentage of your shares, receiving the highest amount of money you can. Okay, always fight hard for shares sending. But the enterprise estimation depends if you are already selling. If you are already selling a product, the value of a company is much higher. But we say that there are startups who need money already before selling. And so in that case, the value of the company is called paper value. Paper value means that there is a certain amount that you think the company value or will be valued in 2-3 years. And there is an amount that the investor think your company will be valued. And so you have to negotiate between the value you think will be in 5 years and the value that he thinks will have the company. Usually you give high value to your company, the investor gives a lower value to your company. So you have to find a compromise there. So the estimation of value, especially when you are not selling product, is very difficult. When you are selling product, you have like data like EBITDA, which is earning before interest, whatever. So is the revenues that you get before paying taxes and other kind of things. And that is a good measure to see how much is valued your company. But you have to have a balance sheet. So you have to start selling something. So they want to do capital gains. Capital gains are when they exit from the startup because you go to the initial public offerings, or when you find a bigger venture capitalist that enter because they want to take over your business. So they sell to the newcomer, and so they make these revenues. These are called capital gains. This is done when you disinvest, when you do the exit. When you do the exit, it means that you take your shares and you give them to someone else. If you are the founder, it's quite rare that you do the exit. You can do the exit, you make quite some money, maybe you go sailing in the Caribbean. But usually this is difficult because you are the head who made that company, and so they want you to keep on board. Because maybe without you the company is not anymore so strong. Okay? So what they do is that they give you the role of CEO, CTO, whatever, and you have some small shares. Maybe you started having 51% of the shares, and when the first round of investment are there, maybe you have 5% or 2%, but still you are part of the company. Well, they work closely with the management. This is also true for the business angel. Usually they have a lot of contacts and a lot of knowledge of the market. This is true. Usually venture capitalists has a strong network, so they support you to find what you need to complete your company. You need marketing expertise, they find you a market expert. You need someone who has knowledge of the UK law. They have legal offices in London that can advise you on the law of UK. You need to sell in Spain. They have selling commercial channels in Spain for you to sell in Spain. This is the role of the venture capitalist. Medium to long term period strategy. Well, quite a different between Europe and US, where venture capitalists are more towards high-tech companies. This is in general. Well, in general, you will see that venture capital are much stronger in US than here, than in Europe, especially in Italy. You have questions on? Oops. You have questions on venture capitalists or business angels? No? Okay, good, because we are late. Anyone knows this? Known? Never seen? Okay. One of the best producer of Unix computers, Unix-based computers, digital. I was using it when I was doing my last century, when I was doing my final project. So digital, they were producing Unix machines. It was then purchased at a certain point from database, large database. It became part of the database company Oracle. At a certain point, it changed a couple of times, but it became part of Oracle. Okay. First, venture capitalists started, this is a sort of history of venture capital, originated in the medieval age from the Islamic culture. Because there was this partnership. They had a tendency to prefer a partnership between you and an entrepreneur. Instead of lending, in the medieval ages, they introduced this pact, this agreement between me, I have the money, you have the idea and you want to open a bazaar, I don't know, or a restaurant or any kind of other activity. Instead of lending you the money and paying the money back, I give you the money and I become your partner. And every year, the money you will make, we share. Part goes to you and part goes to me because I finance your startup. So it was called Mudaraba. I don't know if I pronounce correctly. So it was introduced in the medieval age, so it's quite a long tradition. The first modern type of venture capitalist is considered Georges Doriot, which is a French-born person who, at the Second World War, he moved to the United States. And he invented the ARDC, American Research and Development Corporation, fund. It was the first company. It was a first company that created an amount of money to be invested in new companies, especially for the people who went into the Second World War, and when they came back home, they didn't have job opportunities. So it was created as a sort of form to support soldiers coming back from Europe, from the Second World War in Europe, in order to support their employment or their entrepreneurial activities. So the first venture they did was Digital Equipment Corporation, or DEC. This is the logo. It was an investment of in 57. So what's the music? It was an investment of 70,000 euro, which in that time was quite some money. We should multiply for quite a large number to have the equivalent now. So after 13 years, 11 years, it was valued over 355 million when the company went public. So they started making these workstations. It became very good. They became very good in doing that. After 11 years, they decided, this company that started from small, to go public, and they sold their shares for 355 million. These represent a return of over 5,000 times return on investment. It's 11 years, but 500 times in 11 years, it means that you have like 5,000. It means 500 every year. It's like that every year your investment becomes 500 times the origin, which is not bad. Other example, HP, VC investment. All of the big companies are example of venture investment because all these big companies have been well, Sun Microsystems was a competitor of Digital. Well, Digital went into Sun Microsystems, who was then purchased from Oracle. Okay. So what do they look at? They look at these criteria to see if you are good enough to receive their money. This is the criteria you use to see if you can have their money. Market opportunity. Are you in a market which is big enough? Butcher, meat butcher, maybe not. Or cultivating meat in vitro. Okay, that can be a market that could expand. Now it's not possible, but maybe in 10 years we will have vitro developed type of meat. Okay, that makes a difference. Are there competitors? So market opportunity, value proposition. Do you have a unique selling proposition, USP? So are you different from the others who are making the same thing or are investigating in the same field? You need to demonstrate. You need to have a competitive advantage towards the others. Management. Does the management team has the necessary skills to develop such idea? I am a botanical expert and I want to build up a rocket for the sky. Am I the right person? If I am an aerospace engineer, maybe it's better the botanical engineer, nothing to say. But if I'm an aerospace engineer, in general, maybe I am more suitable to develop a rocket. Financials. Does the business plan have a potential attractiveness? So, does the numbers that they see, that they put in 5 years are good enough to have a good return? So that's what. And what do you think is the most important? Financials. Other why financials?
Because the ultimate goal of such an idea is eventually to get money, and if
okay, let's say that on the financial you can prendere in giro in inglese. No. You can keep. On financial you can keep. Well, it's not exactly keeping, but the concept is there. On financial you can write whatever you like. If you find something good, someone good on that market, he will say, "Oh, but here this is crap." But you can make turnarounds on the financial. Oh yeah, but I can go to sell in Israel, then in Moscow, then in whatever kind of things, and things will go good, and then we'll sell a lot. So, because it's a prospect. So, what could be else?
It's the market, as we saying, is setting some.
She says market. Team.
Value proposition.
Value proposition. Management. Value proposition. Please. Value proposition. A lot of people say value proposition. Well, usually it's the management team. Because, remember always, execution is much more important than the idea. Strange to say, everyone thinks that, oh, I have the best idea in my life, but is, I would say, relatively easy to have ideas. It's relatively difficult to implement that idea. So what they look particularly is the management team. So the team who is developing. A good idea with a bad team will go nowhere. Okay? Remember, a good idea with a bad team will go nowhere. A bad idea with a good team, maybe they could sell something. Okay? Each venture capitalist every year receives, let's say, 100 business plans. Business plan is the financial. So you describe your idea. At the end of the business plan, you have all the data and numbers that represent how much you will grow and how optimistic you are, as we were saying with Cass. So 90% are rejected. Why? Not satisfying criteria. I don't have expertise in that sector. Not promising deals. So only 10 goes through. Second review. 50% goes through, 50% are discharged. They check the business plan. They say, oh, this business plan looks, as we were saying before, looks a bit a joke. They are saying that they are selling a lot in, I don't know, Northern Africa. And now in Northern Africa, no one is selling these products. And so they check the business plan and they see what is not working. Or they check that the business assumptions are completely wrong. So 50% discharge. 50% goes here. They go into due diligence. Due diligence is they make the X-ray to your idea. So they come to your office, they look the business plan with you. They want to know who are your relatives, who are your parents, with whom you are working, what is your financial capability. All of your team is interviewed. So they stay 1 or 2 months to you. They even go to legal advices. They say, but what they are doing, is it promising, whatever? Is there any issue with legal stuff, whatever? At this point, if you reach to this point, means that you are quite good already. But 80% doesn't go through due diligence. At the end of the day, those who are financed are only 1% of 100 business plan presented. So if you reach that point, it means that your idea was very good. So only 1% survives on the venture capitalist analysis. Just to give you crude reality, tough love. Some success stories. Amazon, Tom Alberg, he invested $100,000. He went home with 26 million. Mike Markula, this is also in the film of Apple, if you have seen. He invested 91,000. He went back home with 154 million. And some other. Body Shop, ML Laboratories. These are some other examples of UK companies. So, an example of Amazon. Jeff Bezos found it in 1994. He invested himself 10,000 euro and he got a loan of 44,000, bank loan, so from the bank. His family, friends, fools, gives him $250,000, and two business angels invest $54,000. One of these two, I think, is the one that got a lot of money in the slide before. In 96, 20 business angels, they put them together, they do what is called syndicate, sindacato di investitori, and they put almost $1 million. KPCB, Klein Perkins, this is one of the biggest venture capitalists of Silicon Valley, of California. Together with Sequoia Capital, they are two of the biggest. Well, these guys are everywhere. Airbnb, Google, they're in all of them. They invest 8 million. 2 years after the foundation, the incorporation. 90th year after, in 3 years, EPO, with shares value of 49.1 million. So the company years values 49 million. Okay, this is a few years that I'm telling I'm doing this course. So when I did this first time, Amazon was 134 billion. So this is million, but this is billion. Is 30 more. Okay. 134, 234, 390, 477, 564. Last year, this was the lesson of last year. Today, this is the capital value, the stock exchange value of the company. So if you buy all the shares of Amazon, you need to have this money. And every year is quite improving. Born 1944. Got it? Okay. Here, just to say, this is 2008, so very low, but these numbers are still almost true. US is the blue, Europe is the green. As you see, the investment in US are a bit higher than in Europe. And Italy here is very, very low. Again, if you sum this up, you have the investment in Europe. If you remember, this was the internet bubble. In US, a lot of people were investing in the internet bubble, but then it went down, and so they stopped. But if you sum up, if you do an integral of this, you will have 10 times or even more the value of Europe. So in the United States, this is much more a common practice. Homework. If you want to do some homework, interesting, I show you is the same example that I gave you for Amazon. This is the history of Airbnb. Airbnb didn't go public. They are decided to go public, I think, soon. So they started in 2007. Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia is the two inventors. They did the acceleration program Y Combinator, the most important accelerator in the world, the most famous also, and the most successful. Is in Silicon Valley. decided to use one of their spare room to guest people. They made a web platform to rent their room. And then they scaled, they called Nathan Becharczyk. He was the technician, he was the guy like you. He entered into the team and he redid the platform. And from that on, they start increasing a lot. Nowadays, they received a Series A. Well, they started with $20,000 from Y Combinator, so they started from a lower amount. Then Series A with a lot of people, Aston Kutcher, Sequoia Capital, Y Ventures. Round A, round B, round C, round D, and there is also some round F. So, last valuation 35 billion of nowadays, now this year. Last year it was 31. So if you want to do, well, there was someone saying, well, this was the first Airbnb website, the room. It was done for a special event in San Francisco. The first good release, so release 1 of Airbnb, and this was the last. So they changed the logo, they did a lot of, you've seen the evolution. These are investments. Going from here to here needs a lot of money, going from here to here needs a lot more of money. Because you have to optimize all the data, all the optimization algorithms. You have a lot of artificial intelligence here. There was someone who didn't believe. He said to them, this problem is a bitch, and you won't solve it, and it will kill you. So he didn't invest. He's Fred Wilson of Union Square Ventures. They got money from others, and at the end, this guy said, okay, fine, that time I could have invested. But he didn't believe the idea. So there is still someone who don't believe your idea. So the idea is that if you find any interesting case that you want to double, apart from Airbnb and Amazon, exercise yourself because it's interesting to see how this company scales. Next class will be on Wednesday, Battle 3. So here at 2:30. After that, there will be the next lesson. Will be next Monday. We will have a shared lecture here with INE Basics. So you have to sort of quiz yourself. And IBICT Group of 6 Battle Preparation, Wednesday, 27th of November at 4:30. Katali, you can come on Wednesday afternoon. Okay. So just keep notes. Battle 6 participants. Those who didn't make battles will come here, and we will make battle preparation. That's all. Thank you.